Hi, today I'm going to do a video, or this video is about one-step and two-step equations. I realized that I never gave you a lesson on it. I just kind of jumped into it. So now I'm going to go through all the steps and hopefully it'll help you do the latest assignment on equations. So one-step equations, I'll write in blue since I have all these different colors here. So one-step equations use only one operation to solve. What are the operations? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Those are the four main operations. So how you solve it is you apply the opposite, which is the inverse operation, to get the answer. So I have these examples here. So you look for the x, okay? So I'll change, now I'll write in green. You look for the x. So here's our variable right here. Now this equals separates the two sides of the equation. So we want this x, we want our answer to be something like x equals whatever. So just x by itself on one side. It doesn't always have to be on the left. Sometimes it's on the right side, which is fine. So here with the x is a plus 5. So I want to get rid of this plus 5. And I know you know this answer. It's a one step. You know what plus 5 is 8. But I want to show you the steps because our equations are going to get more difficult. And then you won't know how to solve them if you don't know the answer just by looking at it. So here, the x I'm not going to touch. I'm going to do minus 5. Okay? So this one step that I'm going to use is subtraction. We have addition in the problem, subtraction's the opposite step. So x equals 3. Well, what happened to the 5? Well, 5 minus 5 is 0, so it's gone. And whatever I do to this side, it's a scale. Whatever I do to one side of it, I have to do to the other side. You could always check it. You could always check equations. Equations you should never miss because you could always check your answer. So how do I check it? Well, I put the answer where the x is. So I have 3 plus 5 equals 8. Is that true? Yes, that works. Okay, so here's my variable, my y. This is subtraction. So I want to do opposite. You take the opposite of negative 4 or the opposite of subtracting 4. Negative, subtraction, minus, they're all the same thing. And now my 4's go away. All I have left is y equals 4 plus 3, 7. Now I'm going to check it. 7, I'm going to put the 7 where the y is because that's what y equals. 4 equals 3. Yep, it's good. So this is addition as my main operation. I did subtraction. This is subtraction. I did addition. Now this, whenever you have a fraction, that is division. So here's my variable. So the one step is opposite. Oh, I forgot. I misspelled multiplication right there. The one step is opposite is multiplication. I'm going to show you. These two are opposites, and these two are opposites. And I know this arrow kind of looks like I'm pointing from addition to x, but I just wanted to show you where the x was. Okay, so this is division. So I'm going to multiply. Well, what are you going to multiply? The only two numbers that are there. 2 times negative 11. A positive times a negative is a negative. And what you're doing, I'm going to put a little dot for multiplication this side and this side. So those cancel because 2 over 2 is 1, and that is negative 22. Now to check, oops, I forgot to go back to green. To check, I'm going to put this 22 where x is, negative 22 over 2. Yes, that equals negative 11. Check. Okay, and the last one, remember that video? I assigned a video that was talked about when there is a variable, and this part, negative 4, is called the coefficient. Many people miss that on the quiz. Coefficient. And when there's no operation between them, they're right next to each other, that is multiplication. It is the implied operation. Okay? Now I know my stuff is kind of starting to run together. So opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide both sides. Now I've seen some people put x here. I don't want to get rid of the x. When you do that, you're getting rid or you're making it 1. So I want to put the coefficient, -4, -4. X equals 52 divided by 4. I think that's 13. 40 and 12. Yes, 13. Now to check, -4 times -13. So now I have something that I have to put right next. So I use a parentheses. Equals +52. Yes, that equals +52. So those were all one step. And I checked my answers. Now I'm going to go, oh, here are some for you to try. So you could pause it right now, write these down and try them. And then I'm going to continue on, and when you're done, press play and you could check your work. But I'm going to do them right now. This is multiplication. I'm going to divide, not negative, sorry. X equals -7. I'm going to subtract. X equals 92. I'm going to add. X equals 113. Now, these two last ones are the same thing. Sometimes it's like this, that there's a fraction symbol. Sometimes it's like this. Sometimes it's like this. I'm going to write it here. 12 plus 1/2 x equals 36. All these three are the same. But I will use this one because it seems like there's more room. So I want to move the 12 because there's my variable. You don't touch the variable to the last step. So I get x divided by 2 equals 24. Then I'm going to multiply by 2 because that's division. And x equals 48. Okay, did you get those answers? Now I'm going to go to two-step equation. Two-step. You start by solving with addition or subtraction. So the one step, there's only one operation you have to use. Two-step, we have to use two different operations. So you get the equation to look like a one-step. So we do add or subtract, that goes away, and we just have the variable on one side and everything else on the other side. The final step is always multiplication or division. So you undo PEMDAS. So you do SAD Meg. I talked about that in class, like Meg from Family Guy. Okay, so you do addition and subtraction first, division and multiplication last. Now these don't really apply because we're not doing exponents yet, but you will later on. G right here stands for grouping symbols. So I find my variable. Let me highlight. Maybe I could highlight it. So here's my variable. And now I'm going to leave that alone and look at this extra. What's extra with it on this side? Not the 19 side. I want to work on the variable side. So I subtract 7. Now 3 times what is 12? Well, you know that by dividing. So x equals 4. Okay? If you are doing stuff and you want to highlight, that is perfectly fine. Here's my variable. Here's my variable. Here's my variable. So this letter B, yeah, it's a letter. I don't touch the variable. I'm going to move this 4. So I'm going to subtract 4. I get x over 3 equals 2. Now, opposite, I'm going to multiply, or you could think of it this way. Either way is fine. And x equals 6. This C has a negative, okay? So it may be a little more than a two-step, but they're really easy steps. First, I'm not going to touch the variable. I'm going to subtract 7. Now that is telling me what negative x equals 3. But I always want my answer to be x equals, okay? I don't want negative x. I want positive x. So the way we go to positive, we multiply or divide both sides by -1. Multiplying or dividing by -1 does not change the number, because 1 times anything is itself. 1 times a billion is a billion. But it does change the sign. A negative times a negative is a positive, and a negative times a positive is a negative. You could also think of it as this. I'm going to rewrite it here. If I change this sign, I have to change the sign of everything in the equation. So you could think of write out the -1, or you could just switch the sign. If you switch the sign of x, you have to switch the sign of your answer. Now this one, you know 12 minus what is 11? Well, I'm going to move the 12. -1 equals -x. I don't want -x. I want positive x, so that's going to make that a +1. Okay, so now you try. I'm going to go ahead and pause it, and you try them, and I'm going to do them now so you can check your work. So I'm going to add 1, because there's my variable. 7x equals 14. Divide by 7. I'm going to have to come out here because there's not enough room. X equals 2. To check these, I'm going to write check right here. It would be 7 times 2 minus 1 equals 13. 14 minus 1 equals 13. Yes. Okay, this one's a 1, but there's a plus, so I'm going to subtract. 9p equals 54. So 9p equals 54. So you're going to divide by the 9, not the variable. What times 9 is 54? 6. So I'm going to check. I'm going to write in a different color just so it alternates. 9. And when you check, you put this number back in the original. 5 and 6 times 9 is 54 plus 1 is 55. Yes. Okay, the next one, there's my variable, not going to touch it. Going to move this. 36 equals 6x. 6 times what is 36? If you have a composition notebook, it has a multiplication table in the back. I'm going to check it. 40 equals 6 times 6 plus 4. 40 equals 36 plus 4. Yes, check. And the last one, you don't want to mess with that. If you do, you can multiply everything by 2. But the way to do it is also like this. But you can multiply both sides by 2. This becomes 10, this goes away, and this becomes -16. Or you could do it this way. 13 equals x over 2. Multiply, opposite of division, x equals 26. So is it work? 5 equals 26 divided by 2 minus 8 equals 13. I know it kind of looks like an 8. Minus 8, yes. Okay. All right, what we are doing in class today I'm recording this on Tuesday, is fractions and negatives. So I already talked about the negatives, but fractions. A fraction is just a number, just like any other number. It can be a decimal if you actually divide it, like 3/4 equals 0.75. But it's more precise as a fraction. Now, this one doesn't round. 7.75 is 0.75. But what about 1/3? That is 0.3 repeating. This is precise. This one is rounded. Okay, so leave your answers as fractions if they don't divide evenly. Know your rules for fractions, how to add and subtract, how to multiply, how to divide, which I'm going to go over quickly right now. Add and subtract. You need to have the same denominator, called a common denominator. Okay, so if I have 3/7 plus 1/7, that equals 8/7. If I have 1/2 plus 1/3, you cannot add those. You cannot add those until you get a common denominator. And the one that you could get that's easy but maybe be too large, but it still works, is multiplying them together. So 1/2 is 3/6. So 2 goes into 6 3 times. 3 times 1 is 3. 1/3, oops, I didn't mean to write that one. 1/3 is 2/6. Because 3 goes into 6 2 times. 2 times 1 is 2. And so your final answer for that is 5/6. Now multiplication, I'll do multiplication in green. Multiplication is the easiest out of the fractions to do. Multiplication, 2/3 times 3/4. You go straight across, not crisscross, straight across. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 4 is 12. And 6/12 reduces to 1/2. So if I have 2/5 times, say 1/7, I get 2 times 1 is 2. 5 times 7 is 35. Final end at that. Now division. I didn't leave myself much room. Division, you have to multiply by the reciprocal. So that means sometimes you have copy dot flip or keep change flip. I'm going to go back to purple here. So if I have 7 divided by 2/3, you keep the first number, you change your division to multiplication, and you flip, and you flip or use the reciprocal of that. Now to multiply, there's nothing under the 7, but you could think of it as a 1, so you multiply straight across, 21, and the only thing on the bottom is a 2. Okay? So let's apply those rules and do some here. And I don't have any for you to do on your own because you have the assignment. So sometimes you show division, like I said earlier, it is 1/5. So I need to divide by 1/5. Division and dividing is multiplying by a reciprocal, always. So I get x equals, because those cancel. Now 2 divided by 1/5. Well, that's 2. Change it to division and then use the reciprocal. 1/5 is 5/1. And 2 times 5, even if it's over 1, is 10. 10 divided by 5 is 2? Yes. This one has a negative, so I'm going to divide by -3/4. So x equals, keep 7, change to multiplication, and then use the reciprocal, flip it. Negative, if it's a negative, your reciprocal is negative. Now 7 times 4 is 28. 28/3, I'm going to stop right there because I can't divide that evenly. This one is addition. So first we add 1/3 and 2/3. Since they have the same denominator, I get 3/3. 3 divided by 3, any number over itself is 1. So your answer is 1x equals 4. If I have 5/5, it's 1. If I have 800 divided by 800, it's 1. That's what we're trying to do with the get just one x. And then the last one is 2 steps. So here's my x. I'm not going to touch that. I'm going to change this to a negative, or subtract 14 from both sides. That goes away. I get negative 10. If you don't know that, use a calculator. But 14 is bigger, and you're adding 4. It's negative side. There's a difference between adding and subtracting negatives and multiplying and dividing negatives. So if I divide by 5/7, I get x equals negative 10. You keep the first number, change it to multiplication, and flip, which is, I'm going to actually move the x, which is negative 70 over 5, which is negative 14. Okay, so this is the final answer for that one. All right, let me know if you have questions. We're going to go over more Thursday during class. And we have to really solidify your knowledge of 2-step and 1-step, because we're just going to be adding to them and having multi-steps. Let me know. We'll see you in class. Thank you. Bye.